Welcome back, everyone. This is the Show Boys podcast. We are back with another exciting week of House of the Dragon. This week's episode was the penultimate episode, episode 7. I liked it. Chad, did you like it?
I did. Yeah, I loved
Chad
it.
liked it. I think we hit our mid-season slump, that one episode slump, and we're just like right back up out of it, which I'm real happy about.
Yeah, and I might need to go back and rewatch that episode that we didn't like. Because
We liked it by the end.
Because I watched this episode twice, and like last night when I watched it, I was like, I was like, not what I was looking for. But then when I rewatched it, and I don't know if it was the bigger screen or what. And I also went through so the dude I was stealing HBO from canceled their subscription just mid-season. So like I had to scramble. So I bought the 4K package. And I don't know. I think I might have been watching this entire show in the middle package.
Ooh.
Because it looked significantly better.
You used to watch in HD.
Better. Yeah. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it on the big screen.
Oh yeah, it's a must. It's a gorgeous show, and as the image here, Rhaenyra is in a very nice red dress gown that has some nice embroidery on it, and of course, I mean, you weren't watching the intro in 4K. I mean, that had to have looked better. It looks
usually significantly better. Yeah, that's what I picked up on. Well, obviously, that's what I picked up on first. But yeah, you can see like the stitching within the stitching on insane. 4K. Yeah.
It's wild. But yeah, our summer takeover is almost over. This is only 2 weeks left, and next week is the last week. That will be the finale, and season 2 of House of Dragon will be over, and we will maybe have to wait another 2 years to get a season 3. But we're gonna have to hang out for a while, because I imagine there is going to be a season 4, unless season 3 is an absolute just slaughter fest, and they just beat right through the rest of the story.
I'll be curious to see if we get anything in between, because we know that there's a spinoff that's filming currently, I believe. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that's going to drop somewhere next year, maybe.
I feel like they can survive with like one show at a time.
Yeah, but it does not appear that's the strategy currently.
I want one mainline show and then an animation simultaneously. That's the only overlap I'll accept.
But you're saying okay, so you're saying one live action, one animated series.
Yeah.
Not because they wouldn't technically be overlapping, right? If they're in offsetting years.
Correct. I mean, yeah, like I guess ongoing like storyline. I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to. I don't want them to like blow through too much. Obviously, it's like an endless pit. And maybe if they really think they can, I just don't want them to overdo it.
I'm not really all that interested in the spin-offs that they have working, if I'm being honest with you. Like
the Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms might be okay. I don't know nothing about him whatsoever outside of like just what was said in Game of Thrones. So it might be okay if he's like a sellsword. That might be kind of cool. But I don't know. I would like, we talked about it a million times. I want to see Robert's Rebellion. That's what I want to see. That's the spinoff I need in my life. And I would like to, I would have loved the OG White Walkers coming for the first time spinoff. That would have been dope as hell, because those are my jam. So
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be upset about like maybe in between seasons of like the bigger series, like a 1 season miniseries of Robert's Rebellion, right? There'd be no reason to really draw that out too long, unless they really like tacked on history and like other things. But a miniseries of Robert's Rebellion would be really cool, even if it was in between like a mainline series like this. I'm just saying, I don't think they necessarily need to run like 2 4-season things like back and forth like at the same time.
The Robert's Rebellion thing could honestly probably be a single season, but the problem is like if it does good, they do have story to continue on with it, because there was another like rebellion after that when the Theon's family, Greyjoys, rebelled
Yeah.
like a couple years after they took the throne. So yeah, I don't know. That's not even in the discussion. I don't think I've heard anywhere in the discussion. I think we said in one of these episodes like it would be sick to be an animated series with
Mm-hmm.
Rebellion. And
A
then you
Vinland
bring the
Saga
actors,
style.
yeah, Vinland Saga style, bring the actors back from Game of Thrones, Ned, um, Roberts actor would be sick. I loved
Yeah.
him. He's only in the first season. So anyway, go ahead. We're getting way off topic before we
Nope. Yep. Anyway, yeah. So, I'm excited for the finale, but we gotta get through the penultimate episode here, which was a nice episode. Hour and 4 minutes long. Of showtime, not counting the after show chatting and highlights preview. But no changes to the tapestry intro to this week. So we really only had 3 tangible changes in that, which is just really additions, as we've come to find out.
Which is
So
weird because that intro feels so. I'd have to go time. I almost want to go time it from episode 1
yeah,
to here. It feels twice as long,
well,
literally.
yeah. I don't know if
So
it's twice as long, but yeah, it's definitely it's hanging out, which isn't a bad thing. It's
no,
a
I
theme
like
song
it.
never gets old.
No, and I thought it was a little weird that it was short to begin with. Like that felt weird. Now it
Yeah,
feels right. You know?
yeah. Now it's the right length.
Yeah.
So we're right off the heels of episode 6, and we're talking about this Driftmark situation where Rhaenyra flew off on Cyrax real quickly to go confront Adam on Sea Smoke. This is a cool like showdown scene they talk about in the after show. Definitely kind of like Western thing going on as
Very.
they
Yeah.
approach each other with the dragons behind them, with the dragons being
Yeah.
the pistols, if you will. And Rhaenyra, I think I love all the acting in this show, and she does a good job of like being just like I'm really getting sick and tired of just dealing with like shitty situations, because
Yeah.
this easily could come off as like a problem.
Yeah.
But Adam surprises her and just like bends the knee, and she's even suspicious of it at first, but then she comes around, she's like, I'll take this win. I'll take this.
Yeah. Yeah. So this scene was cool. I love that we just fired off the episode with this. I thought this was going to be like a final scene of this
No,
episode scene.
no.
And we
Yeah.
fire out right first scene here. But that being said, I did think it was a little odd that she was like, she quickly just accepted him. Like
Yeah.
this dude shows up with a dragon. We don't know who the fuck he is. He's on a I mean, I guess she knows the dragon, right? She knows
Mhm.
that dragon did not have a rider. Now it does have a rider. So that's less suspicious. But then he just bends the knee. Like in my mind, this bitch would get killed so easily if there was like a Littlefinger or a Tywin in this world to sow the assassination plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just go throw let's go get a rider for Sea Smoke and send him, and she'll just accept him immediately, and then he can kill her.
Yeah. But then again, no one's really, I mean, she doesn't know that no one is, but no one's really privy to this plan,
Right.
this agenda of hers, other than like she's tried once and failed. But yeah, I mean, Team Green just isn't that organized. Their whisper game is kind of weak, and we see a little bit of like weak whisper game in this,
Yeah.
where they like the Whisperers purposely drop the ball, and it's definitely kind of throwing shade at Team Green in this episode, and definitely last episode and this episode are definitely some Team Black highlight episodes where we're getting a lot of movement on Team Black, whereas like I kind of felt like the first half of the season very Team Green heavy. Obviously had big Team Green wins with Rhaenys dying and Vagar and Cole and all that stuff. So there's a shift here definitely in the second half of the season,
Yeah.
focusing more on Rhaenyra finally getting some
Foothold.
ups. Yeah,
Yeah. 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 I'm a little leery on Adam's intent. You know what I mean? Because the last episode we saw him basically talking mad shit about Corlys, right?
yeah,
Like not about his father at all. And now all of a sudden he's fully Team Black
yeah. And we even have
immediately.
that scene where he's waiting in like these chambers. He's like kind of like, oh, this is pretty nice in here. And then like you can tell when the direction these actors must get from the script, and like obviously the directors is just so good, because like there's all kinds of little like cues that like they act out. Where
Yeah.
Adam didn't. It was clear Adam did not expect it to be Corliss walking into his chamber. And as soon as he saw it was Corliss, like his attitude completely changed. And Corliss, I mean, gave him like the first acknowledgement of like, good job, man.
I loved
AKA
it.
my son.
That's all it was. Yeah, it was like, good job.
Yeah, good job. And the after credits, the showrunners talking. I just love the context they give because it also helps a little bit watching that because they can't just I just like that they don't leave some things to wonder because like they say how Adam and his brother are making something completely on their own, right? They're not using the coattails of Corliss, their heritage or anything other than like, you know, him being able to ride a dragon. Like he's kind of, they're coming into their own. No help of Corliss. They don't ask him for help, even if they maybe tried to or hinted at it. He doesn't give it. They don't make a stink about it, to anyone. Like
Right.
you said, though, Adam was kind of making a stink about it to his brother, but I think that's just natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Adam does quickly just jump on Team Black here, which maybe if the Whisper game was a little better in the Kingdom at this time, Game of Thrones, it would have been a lot more difficult, I think, to just snag up some wins.
Yeah.
But this does happen throughout the episode where I'm like, that's super convenient, really easy and nice. But at the same time, we are watching a written history, which,
Right.
some of these events I imagine are literally like Sea Smoke went out and found a new writer, and his name's
Yeah.
Adam, and he's ready to chorus. So it's like they can't really like it. I'm glad that they're not just like interjecting drama for the sake of drama. Like we just have to accept that this is probably written and is as deep and as complex as it needs to be, and is like she surmassed three dragon riders really
Right.
quickly
Well,
from the common folk.
yeah, you have to think. Also, we'll get to it later in the episode, but I just want to take credit for the joke prediction that I took that the bar dude was going to take a dragon
Yeah,
up. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my god, I was totally freaking joking, but
yeah.
I guess that came true. Um, I can't remember what I was saying before that. Go ahead. I don't remember.
How they just kind of like jump to
Oh,
like them having new
the
riders.
yeah, well, you have to assume that the feat to make this show is significantly more difficult than it would have been to make Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones has got a plethora of books, probably a hefty amount of dialogue in said books, and I'm sure, and we know a lot was changed between the books and the show, but I'm sure a lot of that dialogue is straight out of the books, right? And a lot of the story beats are straight out of the books.
Hmm.
There's really not, like Nick said, there's really not any story beats here per se as far as dialogue and scenes and this stuff is happening. It's really just that simple as Sea Smoke gets a new rider, probably, right?
Yeah.
So you have to imagine if they can keep going on the trajectory that they're on right now with the show, this would be a significantly bigger win than Game of Thrones would be, just because of how more difficult building a story around a single book is, and a multi-season show around a single book as well.
Yeah, and the same thing in Game of Thrones, like that probably would have been worthy of like a season finale type moment where there was many episodes getting to the point at which finally we get Dragon Riders on the right side. And honestly, the one Ulf, I swear to God, I thought he was about to flip sides. And we'll talk about that later, but um I just think we can't simultaneously complain about, or anyone, the royal we complain about the pacing of this show and the lack of like movement and action, and also then complain about how Dragon Riders just pop out of nowhere.
True. Yeah. I agree.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's not like I think we have to remember, and I think they will remember in the show. Hopefully, it's one thing I do want them to pay attention to is like these are very green, no connection intended dragon riders. So we don't want them to be Mary Sue's, but at the same time, I think in terms of getting your dragon, you don't really have to earn it, so to speak. You really just have to qualify, and the dragon picks you.
Yeah.
And they even said at the end of the after credits, like we don't really know how dragons pick their riders; they just do.
And yeah, and I mean, Rhaenyra even kind of hints at that in the show multiple times, including this episode where she's like, I don't know if it's blood or something else, or so
Mm-hmm.
they don't even know, what it is. And
Yeah,
maybe that's just lost in history through the years. Maybe somebody did know this at some point. But I don't have any problem with the Dragon Riders, to be honest with you. And to be frank, they didn't come out of the blue. I mean, these are
sure.
characters we've
Yeah.
seen multiple times
Yep.
this season, all of them.
Yeah.
And one was, Adam was very heavily hinted that that's the direction he was going.
And they did a good job with the other two. And I really didn't think those two. One, I didn't think the blacksmith was a Targaryen, but now it makes sense. He has white hair,
Yeah,
and
dude,
that's
how we
why he
missed
was
that?
focused
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
So it kind of all makes sense when it kind of comes to. But they did a good job, kind of keeping that buried for, especially the two King's Landing dudes.
they did, because it was really the way they built the story around. We thought we were just learning about the small folk during this trying time for the people in Flea Bottom, right?
Yep.
That's what we thought those characters were there for, and it turned out they had a much bigger purpose. I don't remember the blacksmith's name. I love him already. I hope he becomes a major character. He gives me Ned vibes for whatever reason. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
just this scene where his
Hugh.
wife is named Kat.
Hugh.
His wife is named Kat, and he says something like yada 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 Cat, and I was like, oh my god, it's like Ned all over.
Yeah.
So
Ned.
yeah, I'm excited for him. The bar dude, I'm also kind of excited for, because that dude's just a freaking loose cannon, man, and we see that in the end of the episode when he's just not a care in the world flying a dragon over King's Landing. Like,
Yeah.
poor choice,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah. No, that I love that scene. Yeah, we'll unpack that a little bit. I have thoughts about that, of course.
Before we move off of the duel scene at the beginning here, I want to also give note to the noises that the dragons made this episode were fucking phenomenal, bro.
So
and
many
it starts
too.
right here. Starts right here in this scene, gets significantly better later on in the episode, but dude, they're haunting. Those noises are haunting, bro, and it's so good.
They've done a spectacular job making up the ambient noises that a dragon would be making the whole time.
Yeah.
Because obviously, if you're close enough to like a dog or a cat, like they're constantly making noise. Like they breathe. We
Right.
make noise when we breathe, right? Unless you're
Yep.
like if they're moving around, like they're making noise. So obviously, if
Yeah.
they just touch down on a beach or they are like lighting things up in the cave, they're making noises. So it's not just breathing fire and like roars. Like they have so much ambient noise that comes with them, and they did such a good job.
Yeah, they absolutely nailed that feeling, and I think they nailed the hauntingness and the scariness of these dragons more than Game of Thrones ever did. I never really felt,
Oh yeah,
outside of like Icy Viserion in A Long Night, where he freaking like lunges up at right before he dies.
yeah.
That scene was haunting, but really the dragons aren't really that scary in Game of Thrones.
Right.
Here, dude, they're terrifying, bro.
Yeah, and they do a good job of depicting them as like these godlike beings. Like
Yeah.
they are beyond so many people's comprehension, and also like the dragon rider or the dragon like keepers and stuff, right? So I think we might in our minds like to pretend like there's a ton of training and like stuff that goes into keeping dragons and all that, but I think at the end of the day it's like pretty just basic stuff, because like Daenerys did it. She was their mother, of course, but like they're kind of like they're like dogs. Like they just kind of adhere to their owners, whoever they respect and love and all that. So you take, even in this episode, you take away the dragon keepers, and like it's the same thing. They just kind of church it up and put a process to it that doesn't really need to be there. But like they make it safe for situations like Laenor or whichever, the youngest daughter of Daemon, where she's tried twice and like couldn't do it, but she didn't die in the process.
Right. Yeah.
So it's more so formalities.
That was the kind of my hang up with the Dragon Riders, is that we have a daughter in the Vale that really should be a Dragon Rider, correct?
Yeah, they really just write her off because she's tried twice and they don't really want to risk it again. They kind of, it kind of sucks because you try twice and it's like, I think it's because you tried twice. They don't want to risk it a third time for the sake of she is royalty. Like we don't want to risk her just dying.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas if you're just a common person, like it's
Yeah. Let's
whatever.
just say, yep, whatever.
Um,
Get down there.
yeah,
Try to pet that dragon. See what happens.
yep. Um, so yeah, and also noting, Adam didn't tell Rhaenyra who his father is, even though he's quite aware of his father. Um, and maybe in full circle, Corlys obviously knows that because Rhaenyra wasn't like, "You have a bastard son." Like, I think he might also acknowledge that he didn't just jump up and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm Corlys's bastard son."
I
That's
mean,
why. I don't know why not, but
yeah,
it's very respectful, I guess. To
yeah. I guess I get why he did it, because it is a respect thing probably, and he's seen as pretty noble, I think, Corliss, and this
hmm
would kind of knock that down a couple notches. But I mean, they stick out in this world, you know what I mean?
yeah,
That family kind of sticks out here. So
he's
it's
got
a
black hair
wonder that
though.
nobody's like, wait a second.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Um,
But even then, I mean, Corliss says multiple times, I think he might even say in this episode that his family, they're not dragon lords.
correct. Yeah,
So even yeah, yeah. So maybe it doesn't stick out as bad as we think it is, because they have
right.
this world built around Corliss and his family, and they're not dragon lords and all this stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's always just important that you have to keep in context that this is like still within a month of a lot of dramatic events, and like it took Rhaenyra 2 weeks to even like accept that this was her path of like war and like
Yeah.
trying to solve this because all up until episode like 3, 4, like she was like, I'm not really invested in this war yet because am I the actual heir? And like, so I think there's a lag time here for like her even getting everything under her belt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's just trying her best to kind of figure it out. So I like that she doesn't just magically have all the answers. And a lot of times she's looking for the answers, you know, in good spirit. And then someone comes along and be like, hey, listen, mostly Massaria. Hey,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're
Yep.
thinking about this wrong. Um, and a little naive too, because I mean, at the end of the day, like the whole conversation with Saria, like all she was really like, she kind of laughs at her and is like, "You're thinking about this wrong." Like royalty, like they hit up the brothels, they have bastards. There's lots of them. Should have thought of that first, kind of thing.
Yep.
So over at the Red Keep, though, Grand Maester Orwell, he tends to Allison's cut, which is also a kind of reminiscent of how she cut Rhaenyra all the way back in season 1. So they now have kind of a similar. I don't know if they both have scars, but he did know that she will have that scar. And a lot of her, Allison, the summation of her in this episode, we get a couple scenes of her, but like just to like knock it all out is she kind of gets patched up here. She takes her Kingsguard and heads off into the woods. Really, she says, I want to go to the Godswood. Turns out they're actually going on a camping trip. They're like got camp set up. The Kingsguard dude isn't even in his armor. Like they've been camped out here for at least a couple days in my mind.
Yeah.
She's wandering the woods by herself on, taking horse rides. She goes on a walk. She goes for a swim, which this is again where the showrunners said basically like she went out there to maybe end it.
Dude, I'll be completely honest with you. I thought that's exactly where that was heading. Just because of the way that it's shot, the way that it shows her like creepily walking into the water with a white
Yeah.
dress on, and then her hair
It's like the Ring
floating.
girl.
Yeah, and then her hair like floating into frame first. I thought she was gonna be dead, but she was just floating there. So I mean, they definitely got me hooked on that one, because I thought for sure. I thought if she did, that was gonna be quite the fucking leap. You know what I mean? Because like I get some shit's going bad for her, but nothing like
True.
egregious to do that yet.
True. I mean, Cersei's sung Tommen, he just kind of walked out the window. But a lot of shit was going
Yeah,
wrong that day.
a lot of shit went wrong that day. Yeah,
in that whole season. So I get that it would have been a little dramatic for her just to kind of like kill herself over
yeah,
just her sons being dickheads.
yeah,
Her one son really at this point. So I they did kind of suggest that she saw like the bird and she came out of that whole headspace. So she does have a renewed purpose. They kind of like spoiled that in my opinion. Like the fact that they included that after the show is like they could have left that as a mystery, but they did confirm that she went out there to contemplate potentially killing herself, but she sees the bird and she kind of was
yeah,
brought back and she has a renewed purpose is what they suggested, but they just won't tell us what it is, obviously.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, she just got fired basically, right? So
yeah,
she's acting like anybody that gets fired. They're gonna chill for a little bit, go out in the
yeah,
woods, hang out. Don't have to go to work today, so I'm gonna go do something I want to do. So I think she just needed like a mental reset, and she takes the Kingswood trip to maybe do that mental reset.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I'd love to know what her renewed purpose is.
yeah.
You know?
What her grand idea is.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But they definitely gave that away. Trying to help the storyline along here, I guess. We also have Sir Lair Strong and Sir Jasper Wild. They're kind of watching Aegon or Aemond here punish two Kingsguard and sending them to the wall. Um, they did you catch what they were in trouble for? There, it was in reference to a
Yeah.
recent like event from the last
Yeah,
episode.
it was the riot that they started. You remember he cut that dude's arm off that was holding on to Allison
But the
at
Kingsguard
the
dudes started the riot.
Yep, they started it, yeah.
Oh, they're in on
They
it.
started the riot. Like there was
Okay.
already stuff
Oh,
going on, but
because they
they
were
started it
fighting
off.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
okay. And that's where I was a little confused. What's happening? Got it. They basically like shot some people.
Yeah.
Bad cops.
Yep. Yep. Bad cops
Shouldn't be
shooting and
shooting.
they're yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
So that's it. And then also on top of that, I believe those are the two Aegon friends that he had put on the
Really?
Kingsguard. I'm almost certain. I
Ooh.
know the one blonde haired kid is
That
with
makes sense.
certainty, but I'm not sure about the other one. I'm pretty sure that's what they're hinting at. It's his two friends they're sending to the wall.
That actually kind of really completes that because that explains why Aemon would be doing personal detail on this because he's
Yep.
just trying to do away with his brother's lackeys,
Yep.
just continuing his revenge path. Um, he's quite the force. Like he has selfish desires, but like he also has the authority and like no weak points to like be stopped, and he
Yep.
just takes care of business without making a big stink of it. He's like, all right, you two shitheads, you're going to the wall because I said so.
And he is like and we see this later on in the episode. He's like a hands-on king. You know what I mean? Like if something needs done, he's going to do it, and we see that later in the
Yeah,
episode. So I
yeah.
think that's a good parallel between him and Aegon. Who Aegon was not that hands-on king, even though he wanted to be the whole time. Everybody was kind of holding him back, and we see what happened the one time that he gets hands-on with something. He ends up way more screwed up than I thought he was going to be. If being honest with you, this episode was rough for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Damon is the same way in contrast in this episode and all the time, but particularly in this episode, like Damon, Aemon, very much like very hands-on leaders. So more dynamics there. And this is where Sir Jasper, mentions to Laris that word on the street through a long grapevine of
A real long grapevine.
and like not even like known like whisper sources, just like chit chat,
Yep.
like fishermen and all that stuff of like, hey, it sounds like Sea Smoke has a new rider, and like Laris again, he doesn't quite. He has that moment after he kind of dismisses it, where I feel like he was going to use it for his own devices, like a Littlefinger would, but he just doesn't move quick enough, and like things just happen before he can whisper them into being.
I think that what happened there was he was going to use that initially when he was first told, but then he was told how that guy had heard it. And he was like, oh, wait a second. Like it was like a fisherman talked to somebody down at the docks and they said their sister's brother had seen their cousin the other day, and their cousin said their nephew had saw Sea Smoke, and he's got a rider now. So
Right.
he was like, you know what? If you want to
But
tell them, go ahead, but I'd maybe keep it to yourself.
yeah, and that was sincere. But on the other hand, though, 200 years from now, Littlefinger would have very much followed up on that, confirmed it, and then done it himself.
And he might. Yeah, he
It's
might still take that route.
it's too late now. By the end of
What?
this episode,
Oh, yeah, you're right. What? No,
cat
it's
was
not.
out of the bag.
Is it?
I mean, Aemon flies off the Dragonstone and he sees like three dragons.
But none of them are Sea Smoke.
Correct, but
Yeah.
it's clear that she's summoning dragon riders. So for Laris now to next episode be like, oh yeah, by the way, Sea Smoke also has a new rider. So we're up to 4.
Yeah, that might be the gut punch that Aemon doesn't need at that moment. So
Right.
he might want to
So
keep it to himself.
yeah, so I just continue to think that like the whispers are just not great in this at this time in the age.
Well,
They're not as good
which
as they will be.
I'm surprised because he was on point season 1 as far as the whisper stuff went. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
And really, I mean the red side is okay. Like their whisper side's doing great right now.
Masaria's
I
good.
think Masaria's
Masaria's got a
great,
lock on it. Yeah.
but Laris is just taking like a nosedive this season. I don't know if it's because he
Yeah.
got what he wanted, which was to be on that small council, or if that was the end goal. Because
Well,
Littlefinger always had, we presumed, the throne in mind, right?
yeah.
Through all his plotting, that was the goal.
In defense of Laris, though, he might be a lot of his missteps are potentially could be subterfuge to Aemon because he
Yeah.
still is trying to help Aegon recover and not get killed by his brother. So far his biggest missteps are really just like fucking with Aemon, and maybe that's intentional. And maybe that's why he really just kind of ignores this. And he does kind of sit there in the council room and just takes these losses in front of Aemon, and it might be on purpose. So we
I
might
think it,
have yet to see Laris's actual intentions play
yeah.
out, and he is just good at playing dumb.
Yeah, because it is bizarre that we do see him sitting through these meetings in the small council, but then he goes and talks to Aegon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's
Yep.
doing stuff with it. Like this episode, he's like the Gimp helping the Gimp back to the bed.
Yeah.
Last episode, it was I think he was trying to stop the Maester from giving like the milk of the poppy or something for an hour or whatever he was doing. So I don't. Yeah, maybe all his cards are out there. We just can't see them all yet. You know?
Yeah. So I think we can't write him off yet, but definitely like they're not showing us what he's doing in the alternate, which that might be the case for several characters while they focus on other things. So we might still get a little bit of that, and I think we slowly are. I was trying to think I had something I wanted to add to that, but no, yeah. And to confirm, those were obviously they're Aegon's dragons or Kingsguard, but they were his buds.
Yeah.
Over on Dragonstone, Rhaenyra returns with Adam, and Jacaerys is not happy about it. And really, kind of most of the advisors yet again disapprove of like
what's new over there, right?
everything he does.
Yeah.
And though I do like this because, ultimately Jacaerys is like, "Where's my mom?" And they're like, she's not coming. And then meanwhile, she is having her own council meeting with Mysaria. So very much her like active like council is like not like it's just the formality. Like she is kind of given up with dealing with their BS, and she's just kind of holding council with Mysaria.
I mean, rightfully so. I mean, we've seen her all season deal with this shit from her small council.
Yeah.
And she hasn't really dealt with any of that shit from Saria. So I think that's the right move, if I'm being honest. She sends the one dude, which God knows where this guy is, that's riding to Harrenhal. I don't know how far it is from Dragonstone to Harrenhal, but it's like 3 episodes now. And we've had a lot of movement in between there too, of people moving. So where is Harrenhal's in the Riverlands, which would be, you know, just keep talking. Let me look up a map because I want to see.
Yeah. but in the library, yeah, this is where her and Rhaenyra and Mysaria have their meeting, and that's where they're discussing the lineage of dragon riders. And this is where Mysaria basically is like, kind of laughs at her, and it's funny because she's like constantly thinking of like these noble houses, and she's like, "Come on, like all these noble people, they go to brothels and they bang whores and they have bastards." So it kind of hits her, and she's like, "Huh, didn't really think about that." And this is some of the naiveness of Rhaenyra, because again, Viserys did not like train her in this. She was supposed to be a peacetime and inherit the throne through a peaceful manner and have not to deal with all this crap. So I like that they keep that dynamic alive on her.
Yeah. Yeah. I am. I gotta be honest. I'm on board with her character this season. We know from last episodes. I hated this chick, and it was because of her accent, really.
Oh yeah,
But she's really fallen into not only her acting, but also the character itself has fallen in place
yeah,
into the story. And yeah, I'm loving every minute of it so far. I love seeing her on screen, which was the exact opposite last season, which I was like, gosh, I hate seeing this chick.
yeah. But like again, like they're doing a good job of laying the foundation. Like she was kind of pointless last season because she didn't really have much to do last season other than get some backstory on her and the more complicated nature of like she's with Damon. Later on, she's going to get with Rhaenyra, and like just adding some layers there instead of just having her kind of pop out. And this
Yeah.
is what I was going to say earlier. She was basically, in King's Landing, there was Mysaria, there was Otto. They were kind of the Whisper Gang, and they kind of like to work together sometimes, but Otto doesn't like, common folk. So with Otto out of the picture, Mysaria kind of has like a monopoly on the Whisper Gang.
Yeah.
So, and she defected over to, or, declared for Rhaenyra. So, I mean, Team Green really is without a master whisperer that's fully on their side because Glarus is their master whisperer,
Yeah.
but I'm not convinced at this point that he is in favor of just whoever's running the show, which is Eamon right now. He's got deeper
Yeah, he's got his
loyalties.
own he's got his own agenda to go to. We don't know, maybe she does too. She's just much
Sure.
better at hiding that. That
Yeah.
could be the case. But she does seem to be fully committed to Team Red and to Rhaenyra.
I mean, at this
So
point, if you pretend to like fall in love with a dragon rider, they're probably gonna have their dragon burn you alive.
probably, yeah. Yeah,
I don't
probably.
know if you can break up with someone that rides a dragon. They
I
have to break
wouldn't
up with
recommend it.
you.
Yeah.
You can't just be
Yeah.
like text her, be like, "Nah, it's over." It's like, "No, you're dead."
So to Harrenhal, it's quite a hike. I mean, it is
Is it
quite a hike from
mid continent,
Dragonstone.
southwest of the Vale, northwest
Mm,
of King's Landing?
it is northwest of King's Landing, yes, but it is almost directly west of the Vale
Oh, okay, so
on
it's
the
up
other
there a bit.
coast. Yeah, on the other
Oh.
coast.
Oh, it's more on the other coast?
Yeah,
It's like north of
the Reach.
Lannister
Yeah,
region?
it's like northeast of Lannisport.
Oh, okay. I did not.
It's
Okay,
like,
wow.
I mean, the twins obviously is in the Riverlands, right? And
Yes,
then
but
the
that's
Iron
north.
the Iron Islands are off that coast as
Okay.
well.
I guess
So
I always pictured Harrenhal in the swampland, riverlands above King's Landings, but it's on
y-
the other side of.
yep,
Wow. Okay, that
yeah,
makes sense. That makes
yep.
sense. I
And
get.
really, it's weird because the continent kind of comes together there at the top.
Yeah.
So it is maybe roughly where you're saying it is, but it's on the other coast
Yeah.
as the Vale. But yeah, I mean, it'd be a hike.
It's
I
not an
guess it's
easy
a 3 episode hike, maybe.
without a dragon though. It's not an easy trek because they don't really control all that land between there and there.
Right. Yeah. It would be difficult because there is the King's Road that runs all the way up through there. But I don't know if you'd want to maybe be seen on the King's
Yeah,
Road,
dude's not
right?
gonna land his boat like outside King's Landing, jump on the King's
Yeah.
Road, and just ride to Harrenhal.
Right. Yeah. Probably not a smart choice.
Okay. Hopefully he has some kind of cool. Maybe him and Otto are gonna have a duel.
I mean, I have a guess for Otto, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So speaking of Harrenhal, we are in Harrenhal, and we get a very, very decked out Harrenhal scene in this. So Sir Oscar Tully, as it said in last episode, he's dead. Sorry, Oscar. He's now the Lord. His dad, his grandsire died.
Yep.
So Oscar here, young Oscar, I say he's all but 14, 15,
Maybe 14. Yeah.
12.
Yeah. He's young.
He's Lord of the Riverlands, and he comes to Daemon, obviously summoned by Daemon, and actor great. These child actors are fantastic. He's kind of the what's her name from Game of
Little
Thrones.
Bear.
Little
Yeah.
Bear. He definitely showed up and showed out because he comes off as he did earlier episodes. He came off, as just a stupid young child. Damon dismisses him and like basically has no need for him. In this, he kind of like quietly calls him out on that in private, but still, plays innocent, if you will,
Yeah.
until they get to the point. And once they go out into the kind of the courtyard here with the old god tree, he really starts to play his hand, which is awesome to watch, and it was fantastic.
So
And
good. Yeah.
we see Damon still kind of struggling with like his perception and expectations of reality, as is kind of like he's really confused when things don't go exactly how his brain
Right.
shows it up, which
Yep.
he's so used to. He's so used to like just asserting his will upon the world, and that's how it plays out. But Harrenhal here, he's constantly like, "This is my will, and this is really not at all happening how I wanted it to happen." I'm really annoyed and confused, and still probably tripping.
Yeah, he's definitely yeah, this scene's great. This scene's great, man. That young actor is freaking phenomenal. This is peak political intrigue going on here too. Game of Thrones political intrigue where he's making deals, but he's also giving up certain things like here, we can do all this, but you're gonna have to pay your punishment, which is awesome for a freaking 14-year-old. And I think he's really wanting to assert his dominance. I think that's what it's really about.
He very intelligently uses this moment to also, I think he was totally honest to Damon, where he's like, they need, I can't promise you they're going to follow me. Like, yeah, I'm technically the heir here and now the Lord, but like I can't just stomp my foot down and be like I'm in charge. I got to really earn it, because that's kind of the river folk way.
Yeah.
So he also uses this very strategically as that moment where he is both going to um earn their loyalty, and that is going to play against Damon, because he's like, this little kid is like definitely the king in this situation, where it's like I can't, Damon can't just strong arm him, because then he's
Yeah.
going to lose. It's going to turn very bad. And yeah, I thought it was awesome how this played out. But it's interesting that you know he does execute Mr. Blackwood here, even though he kind of had like a mafia thing going with him and like promised him the sky.
Yeah.
But does or does not kill him. They don't really show us, but we can only assume that he did. But they did not
So
show us.
yeah, they did. They definitely did not show us. This scene when it started, okay, probably all the way up until the execution at the end, I was like, oh, this now squashes our Damon theory of none of this is actually happening, because this seems legit. But on a second watch through of it, your dude staring at Damon the whole time in multiple, like, what the fuck is up with that guy, man?
I was still I was like, I was already kind of out of it last episode. In this episode, I was like, I was definitely out of it. But then Mr. Simon here goes like, literally, basically says, "Oh shit." Like when he realizes Damon has to do this, and he like looks at Damon like Damon is like tripping balls kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
like your friend, like, oh fuck, like I need, like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
So that kind of brought me back into it. I'm like, what is this dude's deal?
Yeah, that brought me back into it. The execution scene certainly brought me back into it, because it seemed fake as hell, if I'm being honest with you. Just the way it was filmed, the way the acting was, everything in that
Damon
scene.
had no response other than like a grunt sigh and like draws his sword in
super
to
quick
swings.
Yeah. And then the scene directly after that, he's back to tripping balls again. He goes in, he goes directly in. I mean, it's slash boom in the hallway, and he sees the goat and then walks into the room and talks to his dead brother.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think that theory is still lurking around there
Yep.
because something's up. Something's up. And the fact that they were, of all places in Harrenhal to hold this meeting, it was right by the trip balls tree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like something is up. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and yeah, the fact that Oscar is just like shit, like this is not good.
Yep.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's almost like he's watching the witch like put through this thing to Damon, whatever it is, and like
Yeah.
he doesn't really have control over it, but he's kind of like just the spectator that like tries to like guide him. I don't
And
know.
I think the
Everything
goat.
that dude does.
Yeah, and I think the goat leans that way, man, because goats and witches are like a thing. Like every no, I don't want to say every witch movie, but every like horror witch movie, there is a
Yeah,
goat involved in it in some fashion, right?
yeah.
So just that goat randomly in the hall right outside his bedroom. And then yeah, I don't know, dude. I'm still like the beginning of that scene, I was like this squashes the fact that none of this is happening. But then as that scene progressed, man, it was just like thing after thing. And they kept zooming in
And
on your boy, looking over at Damon and looking
and it
back at
keeps
the
and it was speeding up too, where like it started off very like controlled and paced out as Damon would kind of run that situation, then it just ran away from him, and like he was starting to have that like panic
yeah.
attack where he's just like can't control his reality, and it all
Yeah.
just
Or
slips away.
feeling like this is all I don't know if it's because it can go either way. So it can go the way that you said initially where it's he doesn't know how to handle not getting what he wants right when he wants it, right? Which is
Yeah,
totally possible with Damon. But it also could be in that moment he's like I don't think any of the shit's actually happening. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like he's realizing in his head like I don't think like there's no way this is all happening right now.
right.
I don't know, dude. I don't know where we're going with the Damon story. I'm so up in the air on it, and we're like one episode left.
I mean, I definitely like it now. I like that it's still walking this line of like what is it and what's going on. But also that scene was just awesome. Like
Yeah,
whatever it
and
means and whatever it ends up being, it was awesome. It's a great
yeah,
scene.
great scene either way. Whatever road we take out of this, it was a phenomenal scene. But I will say that because we were really kind of hating on Damon's story through this season, and
Yeah,
I think that he has been rather underutilized. I think it is just because he's not really interacting with
true.
any of the main cast, right? That being said, we probably talk about Damon's storyline in this companion series more than any of the other ones
It
and
has the
dive
most
deep
it has the most
into it.
intrigue
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
all the story threads going on. Um but also what we didn't get also the weird thing about Harrenhal is like it's definitely the I assume the the finale like confrontation of this season. If not, I'm gonna be blown away. Which I mean, maybe it's not right. Maybe taking down Aemond is like the ultimate finale here. But like you know, we know Cole's headed to Harrenhal. We know that Jason Lannister is supposed to be heading to Harrenhal. So we have these forces moving there. Obviously, either the river folk are or are not rallying with Damon. So it's also kind of like people are taking their time getting across the continent and converging.
Yeah.
Um, so it is interesting because we do have pieces on the board moving toward Harrenhal. So it really has to get addressed. I think next episode must
I
be where all this is going.
to be honest with you, dude, I almost half want to say that it's not going to get addressed in this final episode. I think that is where maybe the season's going to end. Where I don't even know if we're going to get a battle. Typically speaking, when you look at Game of Thrones, now I know this is not Game of Thrones, but the penultimate episode was always the battle episode.
Yeah,
Always, all the way back in season 2, the first big battle we saw was the penultimate episode. So are they changing it? Maybe they're changing it. That they've changed a lot from Game of Thrones on House of the Dragon, so that could be their change. We're going to do our big battle scenes as the series finale. That's fine, and it does seem like everybody is heading this way. We have an army here, army there, just a bunch of boys rolling up. They're all going to get fucked up by these dragons. I don't know why they're even going up there, but something tells me, dude, that it might just end with we're here at Harrenhal and we're ready for battle. See you next season.
Yeah, and I mean, also got a ton of dragon attention this episode, which
Oh
was
yeah,
awesome. Some of the best dragon everything we've seen, by far, hands down.
yeah,
But I do wonder. We kind of have this Cuban Missile Crisis right now for King's Landing, where all of a sudden, like Cuba Dragonstone has like legit like 4 nukes on
yeah,
it, and we really just have 2, and a really big nuke, and then another nuke sitting in King's Landing. And we do know from the preview that Aemon does go to his sister and is like, "I need you."
yeah,
Things are not good. But I am curious though. Obviously, so we have the dragon activity, but we have the army activity. I could see perhaps obviously the art like maybe we a lot of people are going to fight in and around Harrenhal. We know Caraxes is there with Damon. So, but I could see Aemon being a lot less gun ho to go to Harrenhal if he knows that he's not just going to fight Caraxes at Harrenhal. He is going to have at least 2 to 3 to 4 dragons coming in hot
yeah,
should shit hit the fan. So
right.
I don't know what Damon or Aemon's thought is there. Like, is he going to be like, because we already have the seed set that they are requesting him to come
Mm-hmm.
and fight, and he's like, I'll come when the time is right, and he might not think the time is right at all to leave his safety of King's Landing.
Yeah, but the thing
So
about the thing about that though is you have to look at Aemon as a character as well, and he's going to run out that gate as soon as that battle pops off, and they actually request him. The request that got shot down was
sure,
please come help us
escort us. Yeah,
escort us to Harrenhal. But we see even in this episode when shit's popping off in King's Landing, he's the first out the door riding the horse to go get Vagar to check it out, right? So yeah, I mean, if you had to guess one where you think this next episode is going to be a battle,
I really like to think it'll be some sort of confrontation if it doesn't end in like bloodshed, but like definitely like there's an episode in like season 6 or 7, I think, where there's a lot of armies teed up, but like not much happened from it.
yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, I think the episode where the Unsullied go to Castle Rock, and right, they just kind of do a quick wash over that because they're not actually there, and we do a lot of like fake takes to what's actually happening, but no
yeah,
actual battle. I feel
yeah.
like it might be something more like that. So
I
less of
think
like a
so.
big battle episode and more of like a lot of chess pieces like
Yeah,
jumping and like making moves, but nothing like crazy.
yeah. I think that if anything is to happen, it's going to be small little montage scenes like that of things popping off. I don't think we're going to get a battle of the bastards by any stretch of the
Yeah.
imagination. It's funny that you brought that up though, because I just watched season 7 of Game of Thrones like last week. Dude, there was like a battle scene an episode
Yeah.
in season 7. So I was really just going through the show and like hitting the hot
Yeah.
points. I wasn't watching through the whole thing, but season 7, I watched the whole thing because there's like hot points on every single episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that that's kind of a cool way to do a war. You don't have to have these big set piece Battle of the Bastards, the Long Night, Blackwater. You don't have to have these episodes that are
Hard home.
totally dead. Hard Home that are totally dedicated. Well, even Hard Home wasn't totally dedicated. That was like the last 20 minutes of the episode. You can have these snippet pieces here and maybe we're just not there in the war yet. Maybe that's coming.
No,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Maybe we're still in we thought season 1 was the build up to the war, but this is really the build up to the war for season 3.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's the first moves, and we're trying to get out of like checkmate. People aren't trying to
Right.
get a, you know, what's the term? Regicide. We're not trying to have mass regicide. Out the gate. And I mean, Eamon has a problem with Q missile crisis right there. So I feel like that's going to affect his play. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. He will head out those gates and do the thing when needed. But the wrap up Harrenhal, you mentioned it. Damon does again see his brother Viserys and his chambers, sitting on his bed there. This was a Patty request. He said he'd shoot this scene, but he wanted to be completely decrepit version of him. So they were like, "Yeah, hell yeah!" Like, no, we're not going to say no.
Yeah.
So we get some Patty here with some fresh footage, and it's a real simple scene, and it's really just kind of building toward that point. I think the question in Damon's mind is like, it's what his brother asked him. Is like, do you still want it? Like, is this what you're here for? So like, he's projecting this idea of like, I'm gonna go take King's Landing. Rhaenyra can come with me if she wants, but like, I'm freaking king. It's like, is he gonna like just drop this whole thing and have kind of like a character flip where he's very much dedicated to Rhaenyra? I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
I honestly, I think if anything, that is exactly what this story for season 2 for Damon is, this arc that he's going through.
Breaks him
Um,
down.
because even if you watch like episode 1, Damon is very different than the Damon we're getting right now in episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 1, season 2, Damon was, you know, spouting out orders, trying to get Rhaenys to go with him. We're going to go take down Vhagar right now. He's got all these plans. So I think that might be what this arc is, where he is just, and this might be the scene where he's like, I don't think I really do want this anymore. You know what I mean? He's been chasing this his whole life. He's lived in the shadow of his brother, the king, for however many years his brother was the king, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that got kind of snatched away from him from his own doing. It's not like anything. I mean, I think most people would have made the same choice looking at Damon, like, hell no, he's not going to be my successor, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's exactly what this is. I think that would redeem a little bit of Damon's arc here for me, if that's where we're heading, where he's fully committed to Rhaenyra and Team Black, and it's not all about him anymore. And he kind of goes back to, old Essos Damon or wherever the hell he was,
Yeah.
when he was like retired.
Yeah, Essos Damon, but also maybe even season 1 Damon, where like he is still badass, but he's still under. He doesn't have a claim to the throne. That's this
Right.
problem. Is like he's king consort, and he just wants to be king already.
Yeah.
Whereas before, like he has to kill his brother to become king. So like he was still like doing the usual, like just being a badass, doing whatever, but like not claiming the throne like he's trying
Yeah.
to here. So
And we'll have to see, man. I would love to know if this is this entire thing is set up by the witch to make him think this way, or what's going on with her. I feel like we're not getting any answers on what the hell she
we
is.
didn't even see her this
We didn't
episode.
even see her this episode, yeah. And her last name Rivers.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's
Alice Rivers.
Alice Rivers.
Sounds like an actor's name.
It does sound like an actor's name, but that would mean she's a bastard from the Riverlands, correct? Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I know that she is a big character.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see more of her. But I would have liked the payoff for this Damon story maybe 2 episodes ago.
Yeah. Yep. Over in Aegon's chambers, we have Grand Maester Oral attempting to get King Aegon to walk, but with no success. And this is where Sir Larys kind of like barges in and is like, "You should not be doing that by yourself." But the Grand Maester is just like, "But you're kind of making me give him more phys ed." And then he just ends with more physical therapy.
Yeah.
Just keep going. So this is what we were talking about earlier, where definitely Larys is looking out for Aegon here and wants Aegon to succeed. I don't know if he's just obviously he has his own devices, but also maybe feels a little bit of a connection because they are both at this point cripples, and Aegon's very messed up. Dude's trash.
He is. Yeah, he is rough. And I also loved the parallel of showing his father in the decrepit state, the scene before this, and then now showing
it looks just like his dad.
Looks just like him.
Good acting
So
too for being,
great
you know,
acting.
hey,
Yeah.
play like a nearly dead
Yeah.
person,
Yeah. Yeah.
severely burned and
Yeah. He
destroyed.
is he's definitely messed up. I'm certain now that I saw his face this episode that he will have a half mask at some point. I'm calling it
Yeah,
now. That's my prediction. He can't not, right? His father had one. Like that, it just seems
the
right.
leper king,
Yeah.
the of
Yep.
Drilla, it's just like a Kingdom of Heaven. He's basically gonna look like that dude
Yeah.
by the end he's
Yeah.
all done.
Yep. And I love the gimp on gimp action. I thought that was hilarious that
Yep.
the dude with the cane was helping him back to the bed. But yeah, I just don't know what Laris's play is here. And he says something weird in this scene, um, where he was like, "This might be the last piece that he sees for a while." What the hell does that
Um,
mean?
so it was like, you know, Maester was like he has to rest. And he basically I think was saying like this is like maybe the last rest, like chance to rest you'll have
Yeah,
kind of thing.
but why?
Yeah, that definitely was cryptic.
It's very cryptic, and I get that we're in a war, but theoretically, King's Landing is a very secure location, right? Especially with Vagar flying around in the skies. So I don't think that this is the last rest he's going to get. So it is something cryptic that he's saying there, I think.
Well, if you look at the board, Aemon needs to go to Harrenhal to help the boys because Caraxes is
Leaving,
there.
yeah,
So
leaving
Aemon is
King's
going
Landing.
away, and maybe
Why?
he's asking his sister Helena to be like, "Can you like watch the house while I'm out?" And I don't. That would be a very obvious play for Rhaenyra to roll in at least
Yeah,
like honestly all four dragons because or five if they count actually maybe six if you count the whole house not
yeah,
counting Caraxes
yeah,
because if Aemon's over there and it's just Helena here like we might as well roll in hot and just not burn anything but just park our dragons up on the walls and
yeah. They have to be seeing at some point, and it hasn't been really mentioned at all. Like I get that Rhaenyra is trying to find dragon riders, right?
mm,
But she's never explicitly said like they have no dragons over there. Like they have Vagar and
yeah
Dream Weaver or whatever the hell
yeah yep
the other one's called.
moon
Uh,
dancer
Moon Dancer, Dream Weaver, Dream Fire. I thought it was Dream something, but
huh
um that's it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they don't have
So
like that's why that's been her thing. Like they legit had like three legit dragons just snapping in the cave there at
yeah.
Dragonstone.
So maybe it's time for Rhaenyra to pull off a Aemon style ambush here,
Yeah.
where she a little sleight of hand, where she sends seemingly everything over to Harrenhal to meet them in battle, and sneaks behind, into the back door of King's Landing. That would be the appropriate thing because now we did see that King's Landing does have a lot of those ballistas. We saw that in this episode, or they were trying to aim it at the dragon towards the end.
They weren't quick to it though. Like your
And
boy was able to get to the city over the walls by the time they like were on alert.
honestly, we saw how well those things did in the final or the Bells episode of Game of Thrones, where the entire fucking wall of King's Landing had a ton of these things, and an entire
Yeah.
bay full of ships that had these things, and they were taken out in literally like 3 minutes.
I mean they're
So
giant crossbows trying
yeah,
to, trying to shoot very fast things out of the sky. Like, yeah, they're not guarantees by any stretch of mean. And the only person that was really good at them was
Braun.
Braun, and
Yep.
that's because he's a badass sellsword. He wasn't
Yep.
no King's Landing guard chump on the wall.
Right.
So that's the only person that like effectively nearly hit and did hit Daenerys off of hers.
Yeah.
Well, just wounded hers a little bit, Drogon. So yeah, I mean, dude, if they 4 to 6, she's got 4 to 6 dragons just like on standby. If she just rolls into the bay with all six of them, they're not gonna shoot. They're not go-
Yeah.
they're no they're not
No.
going to. And I don't even think
No.
Helena would, like, do anything. Like, no one would do anything.
No.
You would just
No.
stand down, like
And also in the preview, he does say, "I need you to ride a battle with me, not,"
Right.
so
True.
and that's a weird thing for coming from Amond to be asking for help. He doesn't seem like a guy that's really gonna be asking for help, right?
Yeah.
Especially from his, not all there sister.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd be interested to see what the play is here and where everybody's heading. But that's a good point. Like, seems like the right move is to at least send one fucking dragon over to King's Landing just to maybe scope it out and see, what's flying around over there.
If I was
Maybe they're
Rhaenyra,
hiding some dragons. We don't know.
probably not, but, like, if I was Rhaenyra, I'd be like, "Fuck you, Damon. You gotta deal with that."
I mean,
Um,
you have to presume that if Rhaenyra had two dragons that didn't have riders that we really just heard about and haven't seen the entire show, that the same thing could be happening in the dragon pit back in King's Landing, right? There might be drag. I would venture to say there's certainly dragons in that dragon pit that maybe don't have
yeah, but the only
riders.
one that's really been made up is the one that Reyna is going after in this next scene, that was, like, unaccounted for. Otherwise, like,
Yeah,
all the graphics and stuff and, like, the known dragons, like, I'm not really seeing a lot, like, room to, like, just get a they've noted before, though, that those dragons are at Dragonstone.
yeah. And I also did not. What I want to say Vermilion.
Verithmore, Verithor,
Verithor, something, whatever.
Verithor,
The V
Vermithor,
dragon. Vermithor, yeah.
Vermithor.
Did not realize that he was the biggest dragon next to, underneath
Yeah.
of Vagar, and he's a
It
big
goes
bitch.
it goes Baelor, like the big one, dead.
Balerion, yeah.
Balerion, dead.
Yep.
Vagar, and then
This one.
Vermithor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is it is big, don't get me wrong, but he is far more scary and aggressive than Vagar. Vagar is like the
Old man.
old man grandpa that doesn't really want to be doing this shit anymore. You know what I mean? He was retired, he was chilling,
Yeah.
and now he's back in this. That's not the case for this one. Like, he's ready, he's young and ready to go by the looks of it. So, well, he can't be young.
Vermithor looks like he or she. I think it's a he, as in, like, his prime.
Prime,
Whereas,
yeah.
like, Vagar's just really big, past his prime, but, like, is huge.
Still a problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, still a
Like,
problem.
Yeah, he's the old guy carrying, like, the two-handed axe.
He is.
Like,
He's
he's
even got like
slow.
the old man like gobbler hanging down.
Yeah. So yeah. So anyway, Reyna, they're leaving for Pentos, just kind of walking out of the gates here of the Vale, and she's just like, the gates close, and, like, man, the Vale, like, that lady is a bitch. Like, she just, like, mean mugs her and then closes the gates,
mean
like,
mugs
get
the
lost.
shit out of her. Yeah.
And Reyna, like, just takes off running into the wilderness looking for the dragon, finds its nest, presumably. So we don't get a lot there. Like, we just know that she's trying to catch herself a dragon. Who this dragon is, that's news to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I lightly look at the dragon graphics, because I don't want anything to get spoiled, because they like to show who rides them and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
This
like,
dragon, I think, has a rider.
You think?
They have not. They didn't say that.
They said
that
it migrated in when the war started
but
to hunt.
said but they said nothing of a rider or no rider.
Right, true. But they said it was a wild dragon, I think.
Doesn't mean it doesn't have a rider.
Sure it does. That's
No,
what makes it wild.
Maybe the rider's wild also.
True.
It's just a homeless chick riding a dragon.
Maybe.
We'll see. It just seems it seems weird to me that she would go after this dragon and get this dragon when we had two dragons back at Dragonstone. Like,
But she
I don't
tried.
know.
She wants
She
one.
tried. Yeah,
Yeah.
she wants one. I get that, but this
she's not
feels
going
like
to make
it's
the bid to go back and do that, though, because they're not going to.
Yeah, it just seems like this is going to be like I found a dragon, but maybe another asset for the war because it has a rider, and I still don't have a dragon.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, that's the current new weird thread that really is just kind of like being strung along that
Yeah.
hasn't at all suggested where it's going other than like she's trying to catch this wild dragon like a
Yeah.
Pokemon. Um, so um, that was a real brief scene. Just strange. Everything's strange in the Vale. It just feels so disconnected, and it
So
really is.
weird. Yeah, man. And I don't
So
know
we get the.
what the mean mug's about.
I know that lady is just not nice.
Is
She's
she
just
just
strange.
pissed because they didn't bring a dragon?
Still, I hope they took those two little dragons with them.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, or though was the deal to leave one of them there because she said something like you didn't say anything about the size of the dragon.
I know. Like they'll
So that
grow, she said, and stuff. So maybe that's what I
maybe
mean. They
they're
didn't explicitly
there.
show them being taken, but
No.
maybe they might have left them there. And like the kids are going to Pentos, but the
Yeah.
dragons are staying there. But like, here's the thing about the Veil: if you like, everyone could just ignore them because they're not gonna march out of the Veil and like attack anyone. And
Right.
then they're a pain in the ass to deal with to get them to leave the fight for you. So it's just like everyone just ignore them.
Yeah. Leave them go. I
Yeah.
think the concern for them is maybe that wild dragon. You know what I mean? That's why they wanted the
Yeah.
protection of a
Oh,
dragon to
them.
be there.
Yeah, the Veil people. But as far as like Rhaenyra is concerned and like King's Landing, it's like, yeah, there may be like some thousand troops like of help, but like
Yeah.
really they all suck. Like just leave
Yeah,
them
they
up
do.
there.
They're weird. They breastfeed their kids way too long. Like there's just a lot of shit going on
And when
behind
we
that
say way
door.
too long, we're talking 14 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
Um so yeah. Anyway, back to Dragonstone. This is where we have Jacaerys here questioning his mother. And his underlying issue here is, he calls her out directly that like, when you crawled into Sir Strong's bed,
Yeah.
what were you thinking then? Basically, he's a bastard. His really only claim is that he is royalty and like he's claimed as a son
Yeah.
versus these other bastard children who are just one decision away from like a royal member being like, oh yeah, like can just be like, yep, this is my son. He's now his one son's about to be heir to Driftmark, by the way, because he dropped the
Yep.
whole line. He's like, I'm not Adam. I'm of the sea.
Salt and
It's
sea. Yeah.
salt and sea. So it's like, so that's Jaceres's thing is like, other than like someone's decision, I am like the same thing as these at this point. Like
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah, he
special.
is. Yeah, he is. So why is he bitching about it so much? Like he is bitching.
Yeah.
He calls them mongrels. Like these
Yeah, he's really
mongrels
rude.
that he's really rude and then immediately says I am these people. Like I don't know, it felt weird. I
Right.
have multiple questions. That's one of them. Like why is he talking shit about these bastards that are riding dragons when he really in the next scene that his next speaking line says that he is a bastard that's riding a dragon, you know? Um but my question is, did he not know that Strong was his? Like, is
He knew.
this him saying to her for the
No,
first time?
no, because his brother Luke said it, like asked about it in season 1,
Well, they were
and they like
teased a lot about it when they were growing
correct.
up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He knows, she knows they know and all that kind of stuff, but like I don't think they've ever talked about it. And that's why he's like,
yeah,
I'm not stupid. Like
right.
I know these things. I have dark curly hair just like your Kingsguard man did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I don't know, dude. I like this character initially, but he's just coming off as a dickwad the second half of the season here,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
he's
like maybe like balancing the beam of like killing his mom and just taking shit over. You know what I mean? Like he's being a dick
yeah.
through and
He
through.
Yeah, he's being suspicious. By the way,
Yeah.
he's definitely up in his feels, and yeah, he doesn't want. He just feels that they undermined him, like they
Yeah, I think
undermined
he
him.
feels undermined. I think he feels left out of what's going on at every possible turn, which is Rhaenyra's fault. I mean, she takes off on the dragon to go see this without even saying like, "Oh my god!" Like, I think he just wants to be more in the loop. That's his whole
Yeah,
argument through the
but
entire season. It's just coming off
and it's
wrong.
weird because she struggles with the same thing. She's doing the same thing to him that everyone does to her. Like she's is the queen, he's heir, right? Like left out of the loop, always protected, always coddled, and she's just kind of doing the same thing to him, and he's frustrated. Just that she is frustrated every time someone questions her and
Yeah.
tells her not to go anywhere.
But
So yeah,
you have to at least say, okay, like Rhaenyra is being this way for a reason because her other son died when she sent him
that
out
too.
to do something. You know what I mean? So she's
Yeah,
protecting her. It's not her last
only.
son. It's not her
Well, it's
only
not.
son,
No, yeah,
but the only adult son, basically. So she has the right to do so, but she could maybe keep him in the loop on some things. Like it could have been like, hey, Sea Smoke has a rider. I'm gonna go check it out. That's it. That's all you had to say, and he probably would have been fine when you got back.
yeah, but she's queen. She's got to go.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
She's got to go. So after this, though, we've got a montage showing Alinda spreading the good word around the King's Landing. That is her name, Alinda. And we're looking for dragon riders, and this is how we get turned back to Ulf and Hugh, and a bunch of other people who have white hair as well. Kind of jumping on the sweepstakes to go become a dragon rider. Honestly, really good at sneaking people in and out of King's Landing. That place just sucks, security wise. But we all know that the gold cloaks are completely compromised. No good there. So
Yeah,
oh yeah,
I'm excited. I'm pretty excited about this because I jokingly predicted that this dude was going to go ride a dragon, and I'll be the first one to say that I thought he was lying the whole time, right? The
yeah,
story that he was
right.
telling, and I think that was probably everybody thought that he was just bullshit and drunk with his buddies at the bar. And I jokingly said, like, I hope that dude, that guy's going to take a dragon. Just watch. But yeah, the whole scene in the bar I thought was kind of funny because
Yep.
he backs down quick. He's
Yeah.
like, you
My
guys
leg,
joking.
it's hurt.
Yeah, my legs hurt. I can't be, I don't know that it's all true. But he sure gets on that boat. And that's cool, man. This brought together these characters for us. We were
Yeah.
wondering outside of just seeing the small folk and how they were struggling at where these characters were going to go. And I think this is awesome that they used them initially to show the struggles for food and all that with these two characters. But now they're going on to much bigger, greater things, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And we learned that Hugh's daughter died, as he's talking to his wife. His wife doesn't want to be a lady. She doesn't even want to be a widow. So like we get her stance on it, but he's got to go do this. He's got to go do something. Kind of feels like destiny calling for him, finally. And I don't think he's ever been like, and that's the other thing too, is like, he's well aware of his lineage too.
yeah.
More so than I would say Ulf is. Like Ulf probably just knows in like a haphazard way that like his mother was a whore and he's a bastard.
So Hugh, you said his name was, right?
Yep.
I'm trying to piece together his lineage here.
I think his mother is the royal blood.
But she said that you're just like your brothers, Viserys and Daemon. So is that Viserys and Daemon's mother's sister? Or father's sister, I guess it could be too.
I mean, his mother.
His mother, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, correct.
Hugh's mother.
Yeah.
Right. So how the hell did that shake out?
Yeah, the way they were weaving it, I wasn't taking that as like he was a bastard of a royal male, but of a royal female.
But he said that his mom was a whore, right?
Oh. So it was the late king before Viserys, like he was the one whoring around.
Yeah. I mean,
I'd look it up, but I'm scared to.
Yeah. Don't look it up. I'm just spitballing here because I'm trying to figure it out. I took it as it's got to be that old king's like sister or something. But how the hell she end up being a whore is what, like how that pan out. I don't know. We need more context. We didn't get a lot this episode. We just got. My mother told me that I remind her of my brothers Damon and Viserys. That's what I think we got.
Yeah.
Basically all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, but those were cool how they kind of brought those in and everyone hops in the boat and Adam and what's the brother name? The shipwright that Chorus is captain at this point.
Adam and oh man, I don't remember his name.
Anyway, I like that he's like legit there, like on the beaches of King's Landing, like,
and he's getting jobs too, because Corlys earlier in the episode says like, "Hey, Rhaenyra needs ships.
Yeah,
so go find fishing vessels. Just make sure their captains are squared away."
I did like how Chorus handled that. Like goes down the docks, greets him, and he's like, "Hey, come here, gotta talk to you." FYI, your brother, he's riding on a dragon.
Yeah.
So that's dope. By the way, I need you to go do this thing for me. Super hush hush.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Corlys is acknowledging his sons, but also like slowly bringing them into the weave.
Yeah.
Less so much Adam. Adam's already in the weave. He's basically just like hanging out with her near at this point. He's like staying next to her in these next
Alan.
scenes.
Alan.
Yes. So yeah, there's those characters are coming through. But yeah, Alan's out here doing work. He's Corlys's job man.
Yep.
He's the driver.
Yeah.
Not a hitman, but like he puts in the work. So we get all these folk over to Dragonstone. They're all kind of walking up into the castle. The Dragon Keepers, they do a walkout. They're protesting. They're going on a union strike. They had a meeting and then they were like, "We demand new terms. This is bullshit." So they walk out and she doesn't quite care, right? And this is what I was talking about earlier. They are very much a formality of it because Rhaenyra is able to lead all these folk out there and summon these dragons with her High Valyrian and tell them to be calm and like kind of get them prepped for this. So a lot of that was just, I think, a lot of those dragon keepers, this is a safety thing and like it's just a job. It's more of like it's kind of like you learn through like watching The Crown and stuff, and then some other stuff I watched. Like there's a lot of things in the English royalty like ethos where like there are these families that have always just done these jobs. Like they are lord or keeper of the frickin' flowers in this garden, or like literally it's literally some family's lineage to tend to the swans that like swim about like all the royal properties or something like that. Like that is there's an episode of The Crown about this where like they were trying to they had total side tangent, but it relates to the Dragon Keepers. They had the prime minister was like, "Listen, the Crown, you spend a lot of money. The people, they don't know where all this money going. So let's kind of audit like where we spend money." And so they list out all these different jobs that are just obscure and pointless kind of, but they go to investigate it and they feel kind of like sentimental because they're learning about these things that these families have done for hundreds of years on behalf of the crown. So these are kind of like how the Dragon Riders are. Like they're not necessary, but it's more so of a very long lineage of practice.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's not shocking. It's not shocking that's a thing. But the shocking part is the specific jobs, like the flower beds and the swans of all things. Like this family is taking care of the swans for hundreds of years. But it's not shocking seeing, that's how it is here, and this is based off of their history, really. So, so this scene, and so to be frank, if I was there, I would have walked out with the Dragon Keepers. And you see that I do have my black bandana, and I mentioned off screen that I am close to flopping sides here, and it's really this plan. Like we already did this once. We saw it ended very poorly. I'm not a big fan of killing anybody. I'm certainly not a big fan of killing innocent people, even though they did theoretically volunteer to come here knowing that they could possibly die. And she says that to them. I'm just like, are we really fucking doing this again? Like we didn't learn our lesson last time that this happened. Now, granted, this one went different and it ended up being a win all around, but it's still,
They did
yeah,
learn their lesson. They brought more than one.
they did bring more than one. And I also love that she goes like up onto the balcony this time, where she's like, I'm just gonna fucking stay up here this time, just
Yeah.
just so I have a good view of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
Like, she's getting the hell out of there because she knows that shit's gonna pop off. But yeah, I get totally where the Dragon Keepers are coming from here. And I probably would have been the last one in the line to walk out and be like, I'm not watching this shit again. Like, this is a poor plan. Even though it ended up paying off, I
Mhm.
still think it was a piss poor plan. She's just scrambling for Dragon Riders. And I think it
True.
maybe just take a second to fucking relax a second.
True.
Do we need to send them all out there at once?
I know. I was
No.
like, how's this gonna go?
Yeah, I'm like, no. This is going to be a single fire shot's going to kill them all. So I'm like, we didn't need to send them all out there at once,
I was like,
one at a
are we
time.
gonna take numbers? We're gonna land
Yeah,
them
yeah,
alphabetically.
yeah,
Like, what's the deal?
yeah.
Oh, we're all
Volunteer
going out. We're all
straws.
going out. All right,
Yeah,
let's do this.
yeah,
Because the dragons totally understand the concept of like one at a time. No.
yeah,
Um.
yeah. So when things pop off here, I was like, here we go. Like, I
Yeah.
knew this was gonna happen.
Granted, and they mentioned this in the post credits. There's definitely some cult vibes they were trying to like summon here, and you can see it in her eyes in this scene. Like, we also have to remember that the Targaryens, at the core of, obviously, with the entire mythos of A Song of Fire and Ice, why they're even there, right, to protect the realm from the White Walkers, right, that like no one understands or fathoms or even knows about. So to some degree, it's like a cult. They have
Yeah.
these cult like tendencies,
Hmm.
but like on purpose for the better of the world. And we just know as the viewers, luckily, like if we took all that context, we'd be like, man, is she psycho? But Daenerys had these psycho tendencies. Like, this is very Targaryen. Like, they are of the flame. They have this tick in them.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they are
And it's
almost they're a
it.
little divine at times where like it's like a cult gone right, where she is in a divine space here where she is literally talking to the dragons and has sent the sacrifice to like, who will
Yeah,
rise
dude.
from the
Yeah,
ashes?
yeah.
My rider.
Yeah. I mean, it honestly, dude, the cult thing just lines up. Like, cults are always explained as having one charismatic leader. Here we are,
Yeah,
Rhaenyra,
yeah.
right here. Um, the fact that she is doing all of this based on this idea, which all cults have, that there's going to be this apocalyptic event that they're going to have to save the world from. It's very culty. There's a lot of
Oh yeah.
cult influencers there. So, yeah, I see that. And it does feel in this scene very, very culty as well. When she's calling the dragon out, everything there is very online with the cult.
Yeah, and kind of leading the sheep to slaughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where she walks out with them, right? And they even mentioned this too, where it's a little bit of like a kind of like a Jesus vibe, like of her followers with them. Like, she leads them out there, sets them up, but then it's like she just like very, very coldly just walks away through
Dips.
them,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
goes up to the balcony and it's like, let the games begin.
Yeah, and you
So
noted it. You also notice too when they leave, the guards like block the door. But
yeah,
I mean, they open up, but when she leaves, they cover they block the door back off. So I don't think, and they stop them when shit's popping off. They stop them from running out. So,
yep.
yeah, it was just, I don't know, dude. I've never been. I can't get behind cults. So this felt very culty. I feel like uh Team Green under Amond is like kind of on point currently. I think shit's getting done over on Team Green. I have a prediction, and we can talk about it. We'll talk about my prediction for Otto at the end of this because I want to get into this scene.
Yeah.
Because major Jurassic Park vibes here, like through and through. Like this is straight out of a Jurassic Park movie. But go ahead, yeah, continue.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so she just like coldly like walks away. And I love how she summons Vermithor, tells them to be calm a few times, and then just like, all right, folks,
Yep.
party's here. I'm gonna go watch. And we get this kind of not that he's a leper, but like his eyes all fucked up, and he's just like not the best pick of the bunch. I would have
No.
at least been like, you go first.
Yeah.
Hugh, you go first. You look the best out of this whole
Yeah.
group.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we kind of got this weird setup where she doesn't really give them any context. Clearly, like you said, she told the guards, be like, hey, make sure they don't leave.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a plan. No one else is privy to this plan.
Yeah.
And you guys have all just volunteered for sacrifice. Your best hope is that the dragon picks one right away.
Right. Yeah.
Otherwise,
That's
we're
it.
rolling the dice here, and you guys are about to get toasted.
Yeah.
So I like how like Bermathor is like, all right, yeah, I'm game. Let's play.
Yeah. First
Doesn't
off,
like
his design, man, phenomenal. He is so cool looking. His noises. This is another scene where his noises are fucking haunting in this scene, dude.
Yeah.
Some of the coolest noises any of the dragons have made so far, and just his mouth, dude, is just terrifying looking. Like a lot of the dragons are scary looking on House of the Dragon, but this one takes the cake for me. Like this thing's terrifying.
Yeah.
And then just seeing the fucking rampage that he goes on here is even more terrifying.
he's the bronze. What did she say? He's
the bronze dread or something.
Dread or something. But like he has like one of the dopest like skin pack upgrades that of all of them picked. Like he was like, I want to be golden Frieza.
Yeah.
He's got many horns, lots going on in the mouth with like, I don't know if he has a couple layers of teeth there, but like he's got a lot of detail. And a lot of personality for a big mean dragon. We really get to know him quite a bit here in this scene. For whatever reason, he quickly is just like, yeah, you guys all suck. And he just starts torching the place. Bunch of them try to escape. Few people fall off. Several people fall off. There are ramps that go down, so they're trying to escape. Hugh falls. Ulf falls. Hugh, is running for his life. He was in a good spot. I don't know why he like ran out into the middle of the cave. I think because he was trying to get a handle on the situation. But like Vermithor here is just like kind of burning and eating people left and right. Rhaenyra still watching. She was advised to leave. She's like, I ain't leaving. I'm invested here. That would be a real dick move. She just like booked it. So I give her props for sticking it out.
And it's cool because you can actually see her like
I love that.
Way in the background watching.
She moved down and was standing at the edge, and she was just watching.
Yeah,
just like this blurred figure in the distance, just watching.
Yeah, so cool.
It was such an awesome shot.
Yeah.
And
that really kind. It was almost kind of haunting too. It reminded me of the of Hardhome, of the White Walkers up on the cliff watching the mayhem take down. So yeah, that was a cool freaking touch that they threw in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this rampage, dude, and I absolutely love like dragons fucking shit up in the background, but we have like something going on that we're focused in on, but shit's popping off in the background. Any scene that we got that. The Long Night where Jon Snow's hiding from the dragon, he's just wrecking shit in the background was so cool, and we get that here. And it's very. Did you get Jurassic Park vibes during this?
I don't think I thought about that actively, but I definitely see
like him eating, like popping people up and eating them. I'm like, this is like straight Jurassic Park. But yeah, I think Hugh. I don't think he was focused on staying safe. I think he had a job to do. Like he went there in dire straits.
He was trying to get a handle on the situation for sure. That's why I think he went out into the middle, saved that chick twice. Like kept her nudging behind the rock, and then finally he like steps out to save her, and then it's just like, hey, me over here. That was very Jurassic Park. I did think about Jurassic Park there. Distract the T-Rex. Don't you burn that person or eat that person over here. And I mean, I obviously it's obvious because this is what a dragon. We do know that a dragon likes to see. You can't show fear. They have to like somehow just like acknowledge you. One, you have the blood smell. Two, they acknowledge you as not like completely
terrified.
Scared of them.
Yeah.
And he goes a little step further and like out of desperation and like not knowing anything else to do because he can't speak Valerian. He just kind of like yells back at Vermithor. And they're buddies. Vermithor's like, I like you, dude.
I like you.
You survived that, which no one has done probably in 100 years, where we have these dragon keepers like making this all very like measured and safe. And it's like Vermithor's like, "Yeah, I just killed like 20 people.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
If you're still here, I'm down. I'm
I'm
down to ride
down.
with you,
Yep.
dog."
Yep. Yeah, yeah, man, this scene, like just the shots of the scene are so good. Like the dragon coming down and almost biting them when they're standing there was cool. Everything is just so well done. This felt it wasn't up until this scene where now it feels like a penultimate episode. Like this whole
Yes.
scene, this was the capping off point that I needed to bring this episode together. And yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it, dude. And
I,
it does bring up like some questions that I have that even really pertain back to Game of Thrones, like because we know that it's obviously very complicated now during the time of the dragons to ride one of these things, right? We've seen that time and
they're
time again.
pre-saddled though.
They are pre-saddled. I did see the pre-saddles on them, yeah. But it's hard for them to choose a rider, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you go back and think, like Jon Snow hopped on that dragon rather quickly in Game of
That's right.
Thrones without any kind of moment like this. So
Knowing he
you
was
know, it does.
Targaryen at that point, did we know
Yeah.
that at that point?
Yeah, we did. I think we did know that
Yeah.
at that point.
If not, that was a
Um,
giveaway. If you anyone understood how that works now,
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, dude, this scene's great.
I
This
love.
might be one of my favorite scenes of the whole show so
Oh,
far.
it's
Yeah.
gorgeous too, and
It,
plus it
so,
helped like just the lighting, right? And
oh,
you know
yeah,
we have Ulf pick up like a torch when he gets up. He's kind of off on one side, Hugh's off on the other side, and I love how we kind of have this. We see this space that is around this stone that we see a ton of, and their dragons kind of like this is like a pretty big dragon pit area. So I just love the contrast and like the depth that we get there. I would like I probably they will show us in that making of episode because they always
yeah.
show us from that episode. But I want to see what they built here because I definitely know they built something. So that'll be cool. But yeah, great scene. And you know, I'll see Hugh passes the test. Rhaenyra's awesomely and ominously just standing up there watching, just absolutely. She's not. She's not like giddy. She's not like excited. She's like, but she's also just not like weirdly. I'm glad that worked. She's like Barry still
It
has this
looked.
cult leader thing going on where she's like, "Yes,"
And
like,
was she crying?
I don't remember.
It looked like she had I don't know if it was just a glare or what. It looked like she had a tear on her.
Maybe she did.
Would have been her right side. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, very culty, like watching over top of everything, but excited, I guess, is the
so
best
pumped.
way. Like pumped.
Yeah,
Like
she's like,
finally got
"Yes."
it.
She's
Yeah,
like, "Oh
let's go.
yeah, God's talking now. Like
Yeah.
we're doing work."
Yeah.
Um, and if that wasn't enough, we then quickly resume Ulf here, who is booking it. He's like just running through the dragon cavern. I don't know. Like I get like he's panicking and he's just trying to get out of here, but
Yeah, he's
uh, I,
done.
I don't know
He's
about
done.
crawling through a dragon cavern.
What
But
choice does he have? I don't think he has a
true,
choice.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, lay low somewhere. I don't know. Like I don't know. Just running through a giant cavern just never feels like the best move.
I gotta
Slow it
be
down,
honest.
buddy.
If there's a dragon fucking shit up, I'm dipping. I ain't laying low anywhere. Like that
Yeah,
thing's
sure.
gonna find you.
Maybe. Yeah.
In your mind, at least, that thing's gonna find you certainly. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't witness everything going on with Hugh
True.
and seeing that they got a
Yeah.
rider and he's calm now and everything's chill. So yeah, and he's a coward, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like you could just tell by the way his character is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense that he's dipping. And he doesn't really have too much of a strategy, maybe where he's going, because I don't think he knows what the hell's going on.
Right.
That's a lot of shit that happened quickly for him, you know,
Yeah.
plucked out
And
of a bar and now he's running from a dragon in a cave all of a sudden. So
it's kind of like the start of it's kind of the start of like a Elder Scrolls game.
yeah, yeah, it is.
But he's stumbling through. He comes to a more lit area of the cavern, and he accidentally steps on an egg nest, which I don't think anyone knows that there's more eggs in this cavern because they plucked out the ones they did know about and sent
Yep.
them to safety. So we've got at least two, maybe three more eggs he stepped on this little incubator of dragon
Yeah.
eggs, and
Mm-hmm.
very very stealthily laying there sleeping in the corner is Silverwing, and I like Silverwing. Silverwing is badass looking.
Silverwing is probably my favorite visually, just because he's black. He's like black.
He's
He's
blacked
cool
out. He's
looking.
got these really big like horn type
Mhm.
things that are all like studded up. Like he's got a sleek, like very stealthy. I don't know. He looks
Yeah,
cool.
he
He
looks
looks
great, dude.
very cool. Very different
Very good.
design too, because he kind of
Yeah.
has this lower head with his
Mhm.
horn kind of thing going on, and he seems more compact this way. Where
Yeah.
sometimes the dragons feel very
Like a
tall.
stealth bomber. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he looks like a B-2 bomber is what
Yep.
he looks like.
Uh, this scene, dude. Again, I love stuff happening in the background when we're focused on something else, and you can see like a
It's
wing
obvious to
move. You
us.
can see his eye blink in the background when his head moves. But it's cool because when we first get there, you see his whole head, but you don't notice it's there until his eye blinks.
I see his wing. You can see his wings and his shape
See,
there in the
yeah,
rock.
yep. So yeah, super cool. I also love that he like just nudges him over
Yeah,
and then nudges him over again. And there's like, it's so funny because we've been hammering home this no fear thing, right? You can't be scared of these things. They pick up on that. And it doesn't really even seem like he's a little scared in that moment, but I think he's just giving the fuck up. Like he's like,
correct.
whatever, dude. Like I just went through this whole cave, got away from one dragon, and ended up at another one. Okay, whatever, dude. I'm done. And he gives up. And I think that might be what is the connecting point where he's just like, he's not showing as much fear as everybody else was up until this point.
Yeah, at this point, he really did extinguish his fear, and he just accepted. Like he just like was this. He's just like it's whatever. He
Whatever.
literally he
Yeah.
was not scared anymore. He was just like, and then that was enough silver when he was just like, cool, man. Um, let's go do the thing. Um, which we get instant cut to him just like holding on for dear life, but kind of having fun flying over King's Landing. As you know, this is where we get Aemond talking to Laris and forgot his name already. I said it earlier. At
Yeah.
like a small council meeting,
Yeah.
and they're just yapping away, and like Aemond can hear like dragon,
Yeah.
dragon, like
Things popping off outside.
he
Yeah.
goes out the gates and there's a dragon. And I think he's aware of which dragon it is because Silverwing's pretty specific looking. Obviously, he's like all
Yeah.
blacked out. Looks like none of the other dragons really. So that was probably a good choice. I thought for a moment that like Ulf was like, yeah, screw this. I'm taking this back to the capital. I'm gonna be a real important person.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh,
But maybe Rhaenyra sent him there to like lure him back, or was that by chance that he just like got on Silverwing and the Silverwing took off? I don't know, but like,
I think that yeah, I don't know. That's a great question because it seemed to happen that he just got on it and it took off and he doesn't
yeah,
know how to control where it's flying and it's just flying wherever and he's having the
right,
time of his life because he's been in a dark, dreary bar for the past years,
hmm
probably drinking, very loose soup, apparently. Um, and not having the time of his life down there. Now he's on a dragon, so he's just chilling. But this is where we really get to see Silverwing and how he looks, and he looks so cool, bro. We also see the ballistas kind of trying to pan over. But yeah, I don't know what because if Aemon didn't know that dragon, he had to have known that it didn't have a rider.
right,
So
correct,
what was his goal? Was he going to go? Because you can't see when he's looking out the window, you just see a dragon flying in the distance. You don't see a rider on it, and I don't
eh,
even know if he could even identify it from that distance what dragon it was.
right.
You know?
I mean, yeah, I think it kind of went like a couple fold where, well, first off, like, man, that's a long hike to go get on Vagar. He can't like whistle that thing. Like that's kind of a bad reaction time where he's got to ride outside of the city
Yeah,
to like
yeah,
to the bush, to
yeah,
the bush of the dunes and like go wake up his dragon. But anyway, I imagine he was like one, all right, this is BS. Ain't nobody just like Rhaenyra. Like nobody's just riding a dragon without a license around here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
as a resident like dragon cop, he hop on a dragon, chase him down. probably at some point in that flight, he was able to identify that one, which dragon it was. Two didn't have a rider, and
Yeah.
that's when he's chasing it back Dragonstone, which we get a very decent grasp how close these places are.
Oh
They
yeah.
are just a
Yeah.
stone skip away in dragon
Yep.
terms. But he's riding back. In my mind, he kind of really loses sight of the dragon, and but I don't know. They really give these dragon riders really good eyes because, like, he could see why he should have turned around, right? He knew there was multiple dragons over there, or he just assumed because he's like, I know there's at least one, two, three dragons I'm about to ride into, so I am booking it. So I don't
Yeah.
know, like, how much of the scene we got to see where Rhaenyra walks out on the stone and there's Cyrax and there's Vermithor and Silverwing, and I don't know where like her son is, obviously, and
Was that Vermithor? I don't think that was I thought that was Jace's dragon.
oh, I thought it was Vermithor
Was it
behind
Vermithor? Maybe it was
Cyrax.
Vermithor.
Yeah,
Because I thought it was like a red one. I'm pretty sure it was a red one, actually.
yeah, but
It was
Vermithor is
Cyrax,
small.
which was yellow.
Yeah,
Jace's, which was red, and then the silver wing up on the castle.
yeah, but Vermithor's big, and that dragon's
Big.
big, and
Yeah.
Jace's is a small dragon, smaller than Cyrax.
Yeah, but the color's not right, I don't think.
Maybe it's because it's in the light and next to
Yeah,
Cyrax, who
maybe.
is literally gold.
So the parallel that I like here with Aemond is, and I think it was deliberately shown that he can now control Vagar. Like in the
Yeah.
past, Vagar was just fucking taken off and killed. Whatever his name is, I forget his name because he's dead. Luke. So I liked that little snippet where we've seen him control Vagar in the series, but this was like a very deliberate, like, no, Vagar, turn away, and he listens. But yeah, the mean mug that that Rhaenyra is giving him, rightfully so. I mean, he did kill her son. But yeah, dude, that final shot was phenomenal with the dragons and the one up on the castle was such a good shot.
Dragonstone
Dude.
is alive and
Yes.
popping.
Yep. Very alive.
But yeah, big dragon episode. More dragons than any other probably episode has had. In terms of like one-on-one time and like close-ups with the dragons. Obviously, we got 3 dragons like fighting in episode 3 or 4, but like I don't know, it just felt different with just the way they had this all set up. I mean, we even got really cool shots of Vagar flying through the sky and just like
Yeah.
it was
Haunting as always. Yeah.
it's a very distinct like dragon episode where like we see Vagar and like a lot of details about him just in the quick shots we got of him. But we see these other 2 dragons we've never seen before up close and kind of get to know them just as much as we know Cyrax or Caraxes at this point, personality wise. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it was an awesome episode.
Yeah, dude. I loved it. Wasn't really feeling the penultimate vibe until that final scene with the dragon. I was like, yeah, this is it, man. This pulls it together.
Yeah, so awesome.
But I do want to make my auto prediction before we sign off here.
Yeah.
I think that, and this is just a random ass guess. So, and I don't even know if this is, let me just tell the guess. So we heard Aemon say, and I don't know if anyone even took him seriously, that he wanted to partner with the Triarchy to get rid of this blockade. I think Otto might already be on that case. I think that would be a great way to bring him back into the show. Like, hey, I got the Triarchy. They're here. I don't know if we're going to get it this season per se, but I think it's not out of the realm of possibility. We know that Otto has to be not lying low because he cannot be contacted. They can't find him in the places he should be at. And the Triarchy is what? In Essos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility. He's over there bartering to get them on board.
He could have taken what was finished of the fleet Even though everyone would have noted that. Oh, Otto showed up in town and took the fleet. So I don't know. Yeah, but they had to have had some boats done,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, he's. So you're saying Triarchy Otto gang?
Triarchy Otto. I think he's. I wish we would have seen it. I wish we would have seen it because it wouldn't be a hard sell for him because they fought Damon, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, hey, we're fighting this ass again. He killed
Was
your
he
leader.
wasn't a big fan of that situation, was he?
No,
In season 1.
no, yeah. So it. Yeah, I think that's it, man. There's got to be something. I've been trying to think what the hell he could be doing off screen, why he's not in the locations he should be, and it explains it.
Eamon says he can be hand, right? Is that how that went? Or he wants to go find a hand?
He wants his grandfather back,
Yeah.
and that's the reason for attempting to contact him in these places that he should be, Old
Yeah.
Town, the other place that they mentioned, and he's not there. So he's doing something, right? And maybe that he wants to partner with the Triarchy was a total throwaway line, just Eamon being wild Eamon. That could be
Yeah.
the case too, but
So
it
if,
wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that Otto rolls back with the Triarchy, and Eamon's like,
yeah,
hell yeah, Grandpa. I was thinking the exact
kind of
same
kind
thing.
of kind of like Varys with the one fleet,
Yeah.
and when
Yep.
they come to pick up Daenerys.
Yep.
So if under the assumption that Otto isn't not a fan of the Triarchy, and they don't like Daemon, Aemond is for the Triarchy. Aemon's also for Otto. Otto is obviously for cooperation and like strategy. So there's no reason he would be like, fuck you, Aemond. He would totally be like, yeah, let's work together. Allison's clearly out of the loop on any subplots. Like she very much isn't a part of anything. She got totally ousted and she never had any deeper like plots building,
Yep.
unfortunately. So, but even her brother, though, I do wonder what her brother knows because he was the one that kind of brushed off her inquiries about Otto, whereas like, just he'll chat us when the time is right, kind of thing. So yeah, I wonder who's all in on something there,
Yeah.
and what's going on.
And there is something else big that we forgot to mention, and you might even miss it because it was rather quick. But Allison's other son now has a dragon that has taken to wing. They said in the episode.
Really?
Yep.
When did they say that?
So I'm trying to think who said it, and I think
I
they were
missed that
talking
completely.
to Aemond. Said your brother's dragon so and so has taken the wing, and when he joins us, the greens will be ready to go. Something along those lines. But yeah, so we're I'm ever curious of this other brother that we may have seen, may have not seen throughout the show, but it does appear that he has a dragon, so that is at least a step up um for the greens. But really, dude, the Triarchy is a brilliant plan because they don't have really a navy, and we have Corliss over there who's got the best navy in the world, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we saw that Corliss struggled with the Triarchy at the Stepstones in season 1. So it is a smart plan for Greens to partner with these guys, whether they're pirates or not.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, it's about the dragons, and it's like about having the right representation on the chessboard because um Aemond cannot really leave King's Landing, nor Helena. Like they can't really leave King's Landing to go do anything, like such as Harrenhal. So we have Harrenhal as like the big gaslight currently is like, hey, this is where everything's gonna go down at. So it's like, Team Green can't really address Harrenhal without protecting King's Landing because King's Landing's wildly exposed if Aemon leaves.
Yep.
And Team Black has a lot of dragons to field. Good, effective or not, um, dragons in locations, is coverage. So and they have enough to say, "Hey, noob, go help Damon.
Yeah.
Noob, ride with Rhaenyra. Noob, ride with Jace, right?" And Bela still has her dragon, so it's like they can still pair up or even triple up with experience and inexperience, right? So it's like, hey, you go burn some armies. I'm gonna go fight the dragon. So
Yeah.
the problem is Team Green does not have good coverage right now. They are very understaffed, undermanned on the basketball court.
Yeah.
So like it's really easy for Team Black to like lay up some like 3-pointers or even just some easy layups too. So I don't know. I don't know. Like,
Yeah, we'll see. I think that we've got this focal point of Harrenhal being this next battle, but I think it's more likely that we might get a naval battle out of this final episode for this blockade of King's Landing,
right.
or a
And
montage of both.
so I was saying all that because, Bela, I think, is probably on like patrol duty, but like Renice was the one patrolling the ships and like monitoring that situation. So if they get threatened on a naval perspective, and we also have this thread of rebuilding Corliss's ship and like who's sailing that ship, and like, we're not going to not see a naval battle. I don't think out of all of this, that would be a very boring use of Corliss's entire like point here being like a
Yeah.
badass navy. So it's a good idea where that would at least draw a dragon or two out to sea. We need dragons to go back up Harrenhal if that even happens. So yeah.
Yeah, man, I think we're set up for a good finale here. I
And I
hope it's
wonder
like
if
an hour and 30 minutes long too.
that would be a nice bonus. I wonder if Jace is also upset because now that there's 3 new dragon riders, he's definitely not going to get to see any action because
Yeah, for sure. For sure. He is done. I did go and watch the episode. I think you were right about the dragon that was sitting up there. It's Vermilion. I keep wanting to say
Vermithor.
Vermilion.
Nah,
Ver,
Vermithor.
Vermithor.
Vermithor. Yep.
Vermithor. So yeah, that is the dragon sitting up there. But yeah, we're primed and ready, man. I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, I do hope the length here is.
I think it's gotta be, dude, because even looking at the preview for next episode, there's still a lot of shit going on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of movement going on. Like Cole's talking about, like we're marching to our annihilation. Like,
Yeah,
so there's still. That's why I'm so concerned that in the preview didn't really show too much of any battles. It did show. Did you watch the preview? Because I don't want to.
yeah,
I
I
don't want
did.
to
I
spoil
did.
anything.
I did. Yeah.
If you didn't watch the preview, you can dip out of here because I'm going to talk about the preview. We did see. I think that might be the triarchy. That's why that theory came up. The like people wrestling in the mud, and we see like some pirate-esque ships also in there. So that's what sparked that. Remembering that line of the triarchy from earlier, I think that's might be who that is. I don't know who the hell else these people would be.
And I was just gonna say, for episode length, season 1 doesn't give us any indication because it's 10 episodes long, and the last 2 episodes are 58 minutes and 1 hour.
Yeah.
And the longest length was 1 hour 8 minutes out of 2 of them. The rest of them are.
Under
We
an
have
hour.
several that are sub an hour. So
Yeah.
like we're definitely a little heavier on the run times this season. So
Yeah. What's our longest season so far, or longest episode this season so far?
this season it was shortest one was episode 4, which was the battle, which is fine. The longest one was the second one, which is Rhaenyra the Cruel, at an hour and 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Last week was an hour and 8 minutes with the small folk.
Yeah.
But there's only one that's under. Well, the premiere was 59 minutes, but then
I feel like it's got to creep towards an hour and 20 minutes, dude. Because
if we're at an hour
We have a
9,
lot.
yeah, an hour 20 would be a real solid. Hour 30
Yeah.
would be spectacular.
Yeah. It's just we have a lot to wrap up this season. You know what I mean? Unless they're not wrapping some of this stuff up this season.
Well, you got to think. there's little seeds of a lot of stuff laid about, but there's clearly the heavy beats that are closer to making a complete loop. So like Aegon, that situation is going to continue into season 3. Um, what Laris is ultimately up to, also into season 3, in my opinion. Aemond still being the regent king, I would say still goes into season 3 unless he dramatically dies, which would be really bizarre.
Yeah.
One thing that has stopped being suggested or talked about as much, but really seems to have to happen, is Aemon's confrontation with Daemon,
Damon. Yeah.
which just still suggests going to Harrenhal, and the fact that the preview he's asking Helena to ride to battle with him, like this is just suggests we're going to Harrenhal.
Yeah.
Small folk thing has panned out because that was the whole Dragon Rider beat. Bela, or sorry, Reyna. Bela's the older sister. Reyna's the younger sister.
Yeah, that's
I like
continuing. Yeah.
that. I feel like that would be a good good thing just to revisit second episode next season.
Yeah. Yep.
And when she's just gonna disappear for a little bit. That'd be weird if they like showed her getting on a dragon next
Yeah.
episode.
I think
Maybe as like how they might close the episode this season with that. Maybe.
I think that we're certainly going to get closure on Harrenhal in some capacity. At least Damon's arc at Harrenhal has to happen.
If we don't get closure.
It has to happen. Yeah. I'm not, even though it's just a totally random prediction, I'm not discounting some sort of naval battle around this blockade this episode.
Something
have to
has
get
to
closure.
Dragonstone.
Yeah. But we do hear Rhaenyra saying we need to attack when we have the
right. So something has to disrupt her. Right now, she has a lot of cards to play. So something has to disrupt her expectation of how things are about to play out. Where she's like, "This is what we're doing," but it's like, "Ah, crap, we can't because we have to go deal with this, that, and the other."
Yeah, that's what I'm
so
saying.
I feel like something has to disrupt her snowball here.
I think the focus is going to be Harrenhal, but the Triarchy and Otto are going to come to attack the blockade, and they're going to have to swoop back and go over there.
Though we also keep getting these notes about that's what they were talking about with Aemon when he wasn't paying attention when Silverwing came in, was Highgarden is having problems because there's the one sworn person to Rhaenyra over there that's given a whole bunch of trouble to our folk down in the Reach. So yeah, I don't know if Otto's he's getting the boats or he's getting more troops. Hard to say. It'd be cool if we went to Highgarden and like saw some of that. But like also there's his other son, Alicent's younger brother. Yeah. There's also Alicent. I can't believe Alicent's just going to disappear and not do anything, but that's the problem. She's like really kind of in a start over position.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot out there.
Yeah, Otto has to be rectified this episode. It has to be, dude. He's I mean, when did he leave? Like halfway through the season, right? It's the same thing. It's the same thing that happened last.
Oh no.
Last season.
He was episode 3.
Yeah. So I mean, come on, man. It's got to be right. He's got to be coming with something. Whether it's armies or ships, he's coming with something.
If he comes back, you're probably going to switch to Team Green, is what you're telling me.
There's a good chance. We'll have to see how everything pans out here. If we get a little less culty now that we got our Dragon Riders on Team Black, we get a little less culty. I'm still a fan of Rhaenyra. I'm still a fan of Daemon. Otto is, Otto. I love Otto. I love Aemond. Don't care for much of anything else over on that other side.
You don't like Aegon and Alicent?
No, I like Alicent's fine. Alicent's okay. I like Alicent. I can't stand Aegon at all. I really haven't been able to stand him. Really, the whole of his character from the moment he was born in the show to now, I really can't stand that character at all. And I think Aemon is far more suited to do the job than Aegon will ever be. So,
fun note: this episode is called "The Red Sowing," not to be confused with the Red Wedding, but that's not even the name of that episode, anyways.
no, yeah.
Oh, it's funny. I'm seeing these because now that these episodes are starting to rank very high on like IMDb and stuff in terms of like rating wise. Like, there's one of them that now is high enough to, I think it's episode 4, is now in the top 10 of basically
Really
with Game of
nice.
Thrones in this. So it's
Yeah.
like bumped into the top 10. But it's funny because Reigns of Castamere is on there, like all like one of the top 4, and everyone's like, "Where's the Red Wedding episode?" And everyone thinks
That's
it's
it.
called it's like
Yeah, yeah,
idiots.
yeah.
So there's people that are like freaking out about that, but then there's people in the comments like, "You guys are just
You
idiots."
guys are morons. All right, sweet. Here we are at the end.
Oh man, I don't want it to be over, but I'm very excited for it to be over.
Me too. Yeah, yeah,
Like I want to see this.
yeah. Me too.
Definitely gonna rewatch. I don't know. This is probably now. There's gonna be enough time to warrant a rewatch of this season at least, if not like.
I'd like
It
to
was
go
weird.
back and watch season 1. Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely watched season 1 twice when we did the companion series last year
yeah.
because I
So did
watched it and then I
Yeah.
watched it again. This one I haven't been as consistent rewatching it, but we shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see. All right, that's all. One more episode to go. I'm so sad. But it's gonna be very exciting. That's gonna be a long episode to talk about, unless it's just like all giant action pieces. I don't know. Who knows?
I doubt it.
It's hard to predict this show
It
because
is.
they are doing
Yeah.
so many newer and different things in Game of Thrones, but there are still just like the same similar beats. It's hard. It's hard to speculate like what this show's gonna do.
Right. Yeah.
So, alrighty, let's hit that theme song, music, whatever, and get out of here.